Hi, I'm Mrs. Song.
And I'm Ms. Twisselman.
The idea originally came from a rock painting project I saw online, and the school read a book called Only One You and had each of their students and staff paint a fish on a rock. And then they made a rock river in front of their school. After talking with Mrs. Anderson, I found out that Mrs. Twisselman also wanted to do this.
Several years ago, I had a student whose family had been painting rocks and placing them around their community for others to find as a way to remember a past relative of theirs. And that family had introduced me to the book Only One You, which inspired the idea for a river rock installation. But it just seemed like every year there was a different obstacle that got in the way of making that installation a reality.
We had a little trouble finding the perfect spot for our rock river, so I pitched the idea of turning the hallway into an ocean instead. It had been a passing thought before, and I thought it would be cool, but never really thought it was possible.
Creating an immersive space for students, staff, and family to walk through sounded like a much more epic project. So we immediately shifted direction, and I'm so glad that we did.
The message of the book is that each one of us matters. Each heart is filled with unique talents and abilities, and we can truly make a difference in our great big world. This project shows us that we can fit in, but also stand out and soar.
This ties into the project because we really want all students and staff members to understand that we, individually and collectively, can work together to not only make our campus a better place, but also make the community around us a better place.
The teachers were asked to read Only One You to the students and have a discussion about how each person can shine. And then they were asked to create their own fish and paint it on a tile for our underwater mural. It was really nice to have Ollie's Nest, our new makerspace, to create and store our tiles. And I was amazed every time I went in to check out the new fish.
There were so many people who helped bring this project into being. Mrs. Song and Mrs. Anderson coordinated the painting of the hallway with FUSD's facilities department. And by March, before we left for spring break, the hallway was painted a beautiful light blue.
We each took a little over 300 tiles home to spray paint them different shades of blue. While we were waiting for all the tiles to get painted by students and staff, Mrs. Twisselman and I brainstormed what else we could paint on the walls to make it look a little more like an ocean.
So ultimately, we decided to freehand the kelp on the upper walls between the tiles, and then Mrs. Song found some wonderful ocean-themed stencils for us to use on the lower portion.
And also some large ones to make the turtles and the dolphins along the top.
The part that really ties the whole mural together is the quote. We took the final words from the book and painted them up high for everyone to see as they enter campus through the hallway.
I really feel like that was the hardest part. You wouldn't think it, but painting the quote was super tiring.
We projected the words in a fun font. Then Mrs. Song and I climbed up on a scaffold. We craned our necks and squatted in weird positions to get that quote traced and painted, and I think it was well worth it. It feels like each time we work on the tunnel, we come up with another idea of something we can add. I've joked with Mrs. Song that this may be a mural that keeps growing from year to year whenever inspiration strikes, and maybe that's what will happen. Oliveira is always growing and changing, and I kind of like the idea of the mural evolving with us.
Oops.